Another 11 a.m. kickoff. Alabama, number 8 Alabama, travels to number 14 Missouri for Missouri's first big test of the season. It's pivotal for them to win this game and prove that they are a legit contender in the SEC. And for Alabama, it's just another chance to keep the ball rolling, to get another quality win on the resume, put that Florida State loss further and further behind them and gain some consistency. With that being said, Alabama is favored by 2.5 on the road. And what are y'all's key points to this game?
Like you said, I think the key one is Mizzou's got to show that they're among this class with the SEC and that they are going to be one of those teams that can win these kinds of games, which a lot of SEC teams have already proven this year that they can win these kinds of big games. State's proven it. Florida just proved it. You go down the line. Texas hasn't proven it. I'll go throw that out there. But these kinds of games, teams have already shown that they can win. Missouri's got to show that because that's almost an identical spot to where they were last year. The only difference is they get this game at home. They were 4-0. Go on the road to play A&M. Big game. Brady Cook gets cooked. They lose 41-10. They win 2 more games, including a win at UMass. Big game, 1 loss on the road in Tuscaloosa. They get cooked. They win against a struggling Oklahoma team. Big game on the road, South Carolina. They lose 34-30. So, that's something they need to prove right now. Eli Drinkwitz has not proven that really at all. What's his biggest win? I'm gonna go back to 2023 to see if there is really that big of Kansas State at home. Maybe Tennessee at home.
I think Tennessee,
in 2023, where they destroyed Tennessee 36-7.
That was kind of what had them in the spot where people were really high on them going into 2024.
Correct, and then they also beat Ohio State in the bowl game that year. They have to prove that they can win this kind of game, and I think they can. But in large part, I think it's because on the other side, for Alabama, they have to prove they can win a road game.
They've already done it.
Yeah.
Again.
Okay, there we go.
And they also
did it at Georgia.
Yeah.
But this is still a struggle point for them, and has been a struggle point for them with Kalen DeBoer, and they are going to have to prove it again. Obviously, this year they've already beaten Georgia on the road, and last year their road win was against LSU, a big statement, primetime game. But in their other 3 road games, they really struggled against Oklahoma and Tennessee and Vanderbilt. They got their big primetime road game, but they've already struggled against Florida State. Are they going to struggle against Missouri? That's my biggest concern for them to put big weeks back-to-back together. They've got to. This would now be 3 straight weeks of huge games for Kalen DeBoer and Alabama, and they just got to continue to do that because that's just the nature of the SEC right now, is you have to go on these kinds of runs and be consistent across these kinds of runs. Because if they lose this game, they're sitting at 2 losses, and things might get interesting down the stretch because 3 losses, like last year, is not guaranteed to make the playoff, and they still have to host Tennessee next week, host LSU, and host Oklahoma, and they got Cocktober. So nothing's guaranteed. Iron Bowl is on the road in the Plains at Jordan-Hare, so anything can happen there.
I said that 2 weeks ago, and you're like, they're not losing to Auburn. What's changed? No, I'm good. We sometimes just say things. I'm just giving you a hard time. That is, going up against a running quarterback.
They're not losing to Auburn, though.
Yeah, okay.
You can just say they're not losing to Jackson Arnold.
Yeah, probably. I do have a fun stat about him, but I don't want to just throw it out in the middle of the segment.
Yeah, it's a great point about they got to do it back-to-back, especially since tough road game, very emotional at Georgia. You desperately need that when you get it. Then you turn around, you go back home, and you play a very emotional game again against Vandy, considering they beat you last year, and that's very draining. And then you go back on the road to a good Missouri team who just came off a bye, right? So ideally, Missouri's been sitting there. They're fresh and ready to go. So Alabama's really going to have to battle both physical weariness and also emotional and mental weariness, just kind of on the roller coaster they've rode the past couple weeks. So I'm really interested to see how they handle that. and is definitely a key to this game.
Yeah. The thing I'll be looking for is, like, how often is the Missouri offense on the field? That's one thing they've been the best in the country at over the past 6 weeks. They are first in the country in third down percentage at 60%, and then they're also first in the country in time of possession at 65.5%. So it makes so much, and they're also fourth in completion percentage at 75%. And so they are on the field so much, and they're not getting a whole lot of big plays, right? That 74%, I don't have their average yard per rush is 6, which is 9th in the country. I don't have their average yard per completion, but it's just kind of wear you down offense of like completing high percentage passes and not getting off the field, not throwing incomplete passes, not getting behind the chains, dominating time of possession. And it's a kind of offense that I'm interested to see how Alabama handles it. We all know, and I mean I push this a lot, that Alabama has struggled with rushing quarterbacks in the past. Tommy Castellanos, and then last year's struggles with Jackson Arnold at Oklahoma, Diego Pavia. It's been difficult for Alabama. And now they go up against Bo Prabula, who is having an incredible season with Missouri, albeit, like JP said, against lesser opponents. Their biggest win of the year right now is Kansas at home. So having faced lesser competition, it'll be interesting to see how he looks. But how does that Alabama defense look? And then how does the Missouri defense look against the best offense they will have faced? With Jeremy Bernard, Ryan Williams, Jam Miller making a huge impact in just 2 games. He's got 182 yards and a touchdown, so that's almost 100 yards a game. He's made a huge impact, and that's against Vanderbilt and Georgia.
Yeah, last week, Jay Miller ran for 100 yards, 100-plus. That was the first Kalen DeBoer running back to run for 100-plus at Alabama.
Yeah, so he makes a huge impact in his first 2 weeks back. LT Overton, huge threat out of the backfield now. Really, really fun to watch. Didn't want Alabama to win either of those games, but there is no denying that watching that was a blessing.
Caden Proctor?
Him and Caden.
Sorry, Caden Proctor. I get the two of them. I don't know why I get them mixed up.
No, you're good. I was
Caden
confused
Proctor,
if I
thank
missed
you.
a play and LT
No,
Overton
you did.
did
It's
but
Caden Proctor. I just read LT Overton off my notes. Caden
Sure.
Proctor out of the backfield, big threat. Very fun to watch.
they call that play crispy.
Yes,
Crispy
Krispy Kreme.
Kreme.
345.
Yeah, Krispy Kreme.
Yeah, the quarterback battle is pretty big. The thing I want to see from Prabula is he's looked great. He does have a tendency to get himself into a little trouble trying to use his legs too much. He got sacked 4 times against UMass.
Yeah.
UMass is not a team you want to get sacked by 4 times, and so especially if they're going to want to stay on schedule and run the ball with him and Ahmad Hardy, you can't take the negative plays. You can't get sacked because you're just trying to make something happen that's not there. He needs to be smart, while at the same time, his legs are a big weapon, so he does have to utilize them and use them to make plays outside of structure. But he just has to be able to pick and choose his times wisely. And he is behind a great offensive line with Connor Tollison, Keegan Trost, Caden Green, who is injured right now and won't play. But they've given him a great supporting cast to work with Ahmad Hardy, with that offensive line, Kevin Coleman. He's in a good spot to succeed. Now he just needs to go and make the plays and avoid the bad plays to make it happen.
Yeah, and then another thing that I'll say is Ty Simpson is absolutely at his best in a clean pocket. That's kind of how a lot of his big plays against Vanderbilt came, because he's sitting back there for 3 or 4 seconds with no pressure, and then he's finding an open wide receiver because the defense secondary can't cover for that long. Missouri's got 2 good edge rushers in Damon Wilson and Zion Young. Both have PFF grades over 87. They both have over 20 pressures this year. Are they able to get pressure to Ty Simpson and force him to be faster in the pocket, and also give that secondary less time to cover those elite wide receivers in Jeremy Bernard and Ryan Williams? That'll be something, because Georgia did not have elite edge rush play. They haven't this year, and we didn't see it against Alabama. Vanderbilt, not known for their elite edge rushers. So how do these 2 guys look against that Alabama offensive line? Can they force Alabama to play faster?
And it is tough because the Alabama offensive line is continuing to get better week in and week out. So any other things you want to add before we pick this game?
No.
Cool. As I mentioned previously, Alabama is favored by 2.5. JP, you basically already said on the show who you're picking, so why don't you go ahead and go first?
Yeah, so I think this game potentially profiles very similar to Vanderbilt, Alabama last week. But I think Missouri is better in those kinds of spots. I think Bo's better than Pavia. Obviously, Ahmad Hardy is better than Cedric Alexander. And I think also being at home plays a huge factor and helps them as well. The noon kickoff hurts a little bit, but I think they'll be fine. I also, Alabama on the road, I have that to have to deal with. I just think Missouri is better than Vandy, and I think Vandy feels like they should have won that game if they take away those turnovers. They're in a much better spot. I don't think Missouri turns the ball over, and I think they go out and they get a win. So I'll take Mizzou to win, cover the 2.5, and be 6-0 halfway through the season.
Sure. I have a lot of things in my mind telling me to pick Missouri to cover the fact that they're off the bye and Bama's had a tough couple games and they run the ball really well, and that's been a bit of a struggle for Bama, and I expect them to run the ball pretty well against Bama in this game too. But I just really like what that Alabama offense is doing right now, and so I think they're going to be able to do enough to come away with a win at Mizzou and cover the 2.5. It'll probably be a close game, but I'm just going to trust Ty Simpson to get the job done on the road. Give me Alabama to cover.
Yeah, I was just checking snap counts. Because Missouri just played UMass last week, and won handedly. I was curious to see if they were resting guys leading up to this game. Not really. Offensive line all played nearly 70 snaps, but Pabula played 68 snaps. So the starters were all playing 40 to 50. Defensively, though, they did. No one played more than 36 snaps on defense. So a lot of guys are getting snaps. I'm going to pick Missouri. It wasn't a bye week last week, but...
Was it not?
No, they played UMass.
That's awkward.
Yeah, they played UMass last week, but that's why I was checking snaps, because they were getting some rest for the defensive guys. So I think they're going to come in at least fresher. Because like you said, Georgia on the road, Vanderbilt at home, two highly, very emotional games, loaded games for that Alabama team. So I'm going to pick Missouri.
You had it right.
They did have a bye, right?
Yes.
I was going to say, because
Wait.
you have it up there as week 5 on PFF, and I was like, I'm pretty sure last week was week 6.
Am I... Oh, I just read... My bad. Okay.
No, you're good.
It was a bye.
I was going to say, I really don't feel like I would have botched that, but
No, you
Cool.
definitely didn't. I don't know how I got that wrong. Cool.
it happens. Another spot for me to pick up a point on y'all is y'all both go Mizzou and I go Bama, so that's perfect.